Daniel Carter stood at the observation deck of the transport vessel, watching as the massive space station grew larger in the viewport. Harmony Station hung against the backdrop of stars like a gleaming metal flower, its petal-shaped docking arms extending outward to welcome ships from across the galaxy. This was to be humanity's first official meeting with the Galactic Conclave, and Daniel felt the weight of Earth's future on his shoulders. Quite a sight, isn't it? Lisa Miller joined him at the viewport. As the team's communications specialist, she had spent months studying alien languages and protocols. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical bun, and her eyes reflected the station's lights. "It's bigger than the briefings suggested," Daniel replied. At 45, he had gray streaks in his brown hair, earned through years of difficult diplomatic missions on Earth, but nothing had prepared him for this. "Sir, we're receiving docking instructions," called John Hayes from his station. The cultural analyst was the youngest of their team at 30, but his understanding of alien customs was unmatched. Samantha Wright, their security officer, checked her sidearm one final time before securing it in its diplomatic case. The Conclave had strict weapons protocols, but as the only protection for Earth's first diplomatic team, she wasn't taking chances. "I don't like going in there practically unarmed," she muttered. "We're diplomats, Sam, not soldiers," Daniel reminded her, though his own military background made him share her concerns. Their ship docked with a gentle bump. Daniel straightened his blue diplomatic uniform and addressed his team. "Remember, Earth is counting on us. The resource shortages back home are getting worse. We need the Conclave's technology and protection. Let's make a good first impression." The airlock opened to reveal two aliens waiting for them. One was tall and slender with blue-tinted skin and 4 arms, a Tellurian, according to their briefings. The other was reptilian, with scales that shifted color slightly as it moved, a Varaxian. Ambassador Carter, the Tellurian, spoke in slightly accented English. "I am Krillax, Junior Diplomatic Liaison. This is Drezkor, representing the Varaxian Empire." Drezkor made a sound that might have been a scoff. "So these are humans, smaller than expected." His translator conveyed his words in a flat tone that couldn't hide the dismissal in them. Daniel stepped forward, maintaining the exact distance that protocol demanded. Not too close to seem threatening, not too far to seem fearful. "On behalf of Earth and all human colonies, we thank the Conclave for considering our application for membership." Krillax's 4 hands made a graceful gesture. "The Council awaits you. Please follow." As they walked through the station's wide corridors, Daniel and his team tried not to stare at the variety of alien species they passed. Some walked on tentacles, others floated in personal gravity bubbles. The station itself was a marvel of technology far beyond Earth's capabilities. The Harmony Station serves as neutral ground for all 7 species of the Conclave, Krillax explained. "Soon to be 8, Daniel added hopefully. Drezkor made that same scoffing sound. "That remains to be seen. Human. The Conclave does not admit primitive species lightly." Samantha tensed beside Daniel, but he gave her a subtle hand signal to remain calm. This wasn't the time to react to provocations. They were led into a vast chamber where 5 other alien representatives waited around a crescent-shaped table. Daniel recognized each species from their briefings. The crystalline Quartzians, the gaseous mist collective, the insectoid hive minds, the aquatic deeps, and the silicon-based obsidians. "The human delegation," announced Krillax. 7 pairs of alien eyes, some with multiple pupils, some glowing, some barely recognizable as eyes. Study them with varying degrees of interest and disdain. "Welcome to Harmony," said the Quartzian representative, light reflecting off her crystal form. "We have received your application for Conclave membership. The process of evaluation begins now." Daniel stepped forward, ready to make humanity's case, unaware that behind the diplomatic facades, wheels were already in motion to ensure that humans would never be welcomed as equals among the stars. 3 weeks had passed since their arrival, and Daniel felt like they were running in circles. Each meeting with the conclave representatives ended the same way, with requests for more documentation, more time, more proof that humans deserved a place among the stars. They asked for our atmospheric composition. Again, Lisa said, dropping a data tablet on the table in their small assigned quarters. That's the third time this month. John looked up from his cultural analysis reports. It's not a mistake. They're stalling us. Daniel pinched the bridge of his nose. The headaches were becoming more frequent. The question is why. If they don't want us in the conclave, they could just say no. Samantha paced the room, her security training making her restless in the confined space. Maybe they want something from us that they're not saying. A soft chime indicated someone at their door. Samantha moved quickly to position herself beside it, hand near her hip where a small knife was hidden, the only weapon she'd managed to keep. The door slid open to reveal Krillax, the Tellurian liaison. His 4 arms held various items, what appeared to be food containers and data crystals. "May I enter, Ambassador Carter?" "I come as a friend." Daniel nodded, and Krillax stepped inside, the door closing behind him. "I bring nutrition suitable for humans," he said, placing the containers on the table, "and information not officially available to your delegation." The humans exchanged glances. This was unexpected. "Why would you help us?" Daniel asked. Krillax's skin rippled in what they had learned was a Tellurian expression of discomfort. "Not all in the conclave agree with how humans are being treated. My people, especially, see potential in yours." He activated one of the data crystals, and a holographic display appeared above the table showing various reports and intercepted communications. "Your application is being deliberately stalled," Krillax confirmed, "but not because the conclave finds humans unworthy. Rather, because many find you frightening." Lisa frowned. "Frightening? We're technologically centuries behind most conclave species. Technology is not the only measure of threat," Krillax replied. "Humans adapt faster than any species we have encountered. You survive conditions that would kill most sentient beings. Your history is filled with conflicts that would have extinguished other races, yet you emerged stronger." John leaned forward, fascinated. "So this isn't about us being primitive. It is about you being unpredictable," Krillax finished. "The Varaxians particularly fear what humans might become in a century or two with access to advanced technology." Daniel absorbed this information. "So instead of rejecting us outright, they keep you locked in bureaucracy while they decide what to do with humanity," Krillax said. "Some factions, led by the Varaxians, advocate for classifying Earth as a protected world, essentially keeping humans contained and supervised." Samantha's face darkened. "Like a zoo. Or a prison," Daniel added. Krillax's upper arms made a gesture of agreement. "I must go before my absence is noticed. But know this, there are those who would welcome humans as equals. The balance of power in the conclave has been static too long." After Krillax left, the team sat in silence, processing what they'd learned. "We need to report this to Earth," Lisa finally said. Daniel nodded. "But we also need to be careful. If what Krillax says is true, our communications might be monitored." The next morning, they were scheduled to meet with Drezkor, the Varaxian representative. As they approached the meeting chamber, Samantha noticed 2 Varaxian guards watching them, with what could only be described as predatory interest. One of the guards stepped forward as they passed, deliberately bumping into Samantha with enough force to knock her against the wall. "Watch where you walk, human," the guard hissed. Samantha's training kicked in. She pivoted, using the guard's momentum against him, and suddenly the much larger alien found himself flipped onto his back. The corridor went silent. The other guard reached for a weapon. "Stop." Daniel stepped between them. "This was clearly an accident. My security officer merely lost her balance when your colleague stumbled." The fallen guard got up, eyes burning with hatred. "This isn't over, human." As they continued to the meeting room, Daniel whispered to Samantha, "That was either very bad or very good for diplomacy." "Which do you think?" she asked. "I think," Daniel replied quietly, "that we just confirmed everything Krillax told us." Daniel stared at the data on his screen, his face growing pale. After the incident with Samantha and the Varaxian guard, he had asked John to dig deeper into Conclave records. Using access codes provided by Krillax, they had found something disturbing. "Are you sure about this?" Daniel asked, his voice barely above a whisper. John nodded grimly. "The attack patterns match. These weren't random pirate raids or natural disasters. The Varaxians have been systematically attacking our outer colony worlds for the past year." Lisa looked over their shoulders at the evidence. Eden Colony, New Hope, Frontier Station, all reported as tragic accidents or pirate attacks. But these energy signatures are clearly Varaxian weapons. "And the Conclave knew," Samantha added, her fists clenched. "They've been watching our people die while keeping us tied up in paperwork." Daniel stood up and paced the room. "The question is why? If they fear our potential, why provoke us?" "Containment strategy," John suggested. "They're testing our defenses, finding our weak points, while keeping our main forces distracted with diplomacy." A soft beep from Lisa's communication device interrupted them. Encrypted message from Earth. "Commander Grace Hoffman wants an update." Daniel took the device. Grace had been his commanding officer years ago, before he moved to diplomacy. If she was contacting them directly, the situation back home must be serious. "Grace," Daniel said when her face appeared on the small screen, "we found something you need to see." He transmitted the data they had discovered. Grace's expression hardened as she reviewed it. "We suspected something like this," she said. "Several of our deep space probes detected unusual energy signatures near the attack sites. Now we know for sure." She looked directly at Daniel. "The Defense Council is split. Some want to pull you out immediately. Others think we should continue the diplomatic approach. What do you think?" Daniel asked. "I think you should keep talking while we prepare for the alternative," Grace said grimly. "We've been developing some new technologies based on debris we found after the attacks. Nothing that would match their main fleets, but enough to surprise them if it comes to that." Daniel nodded. "We'll continue here, but Grace, be careful with those technologies. If the Conclave detects advanced weapons development on Earth, they might decide we're too dangerous to wait any longer." Grace finished. "I know. We're being careful." After the call ended, Daniel made his decision. "We need to confront the Conclave Council with this evidence. Force them to acknowledge what the Varaxians have been doing." "That's risky," Lisa warned. "If the entire council is in on this." "I don't think they are," Daniel said. "Krillax wouldn't have helped us if all the species were united against humans. There are divisions we can exploit." The next day, they requested an emergency session with the full council. To their surprise, it was granted immediately. All 7 council members were present when Daniel and his team entered the Grand Chamber. The Varaxian representative, Dreskor, seemed particularly smug. "The human delegation has requested this session," announced the Quartzian chairperson. "Speak, Ambassador Carter." Daniel stepped forward and activated the data display he had prepared. Images of destroyed human colonies appeared in the air before them. "Honorable Council," Daniel began, his voice steady despite his anger. "For months we have sought membership in good faith. Now we discover that while we negotiated here, Varaxian ships attacked our defenseless colonies." Murmurs spread through the chamber. The Mist Collective representative swirled in apparent agitation. Dreskor stood, his scales flushing red. "These are serious accusations, human. Where is your proof?" Daniel displayed the energy signature data. "These weapon signatures are distinctly Varaxian, and the attack patterns suggest military precision, not random pirate raids." "This evidence is," the Obsidian representative paused, "concerning, if accurate, but unverifiable. You would take the word of primitive humans over a founding conclave member?" Dreskor asked incredulously. Daniel noticed Krillax trying to catch his eye from the side of the chamber. The Tellurian made a subtle gesture toward the exit, then tapped his communication device. As the council erupted into argument, Daniel's own device vibrated with a message. Danger. Return to quarters immediately. Daniel led his team quickly through the corridors of Harmony Station, Krillex's warning echoing in his mind. The few aliens they passed seemed to avoid eye contact, moving hastily away. Something's wrong, Samantha said quietly. The station feels different. Security patrols have doubled, John observed. And they're all Varaxian. They turned a corner and found their path blocked by 4 Varaxian guards, weapons held casually but ready. Ambassador Carter, the lead guard said. What a fortunate meeting. The council has requested your presence at a special dinner tonight, a gesture of goodwill after today's misunderstanding. Daniel kept his face neutral. We appreciate the invitation, but we need time to prepare, perhaps in a few hours. The council insists, the guard interrupted, his hand tightening on his weapon. We are to escort you immediately. Daniel glanced at Samantha, who gave him a nearly imperceptible nod. She had assessed the situation and saw no way to fight past the armed guards without casualties. Very well, Daniel agreed. Lead the way. Instead of heading toward the council chambers or dining areas, the guards led them to an unfamiliar section of the station. The corridors here were narrower, the lighting dimmer. This isn't the way to the council chambers, Lisa said. The lead guard didn't bother to hide his smirk. Change of venue. They were ushered into a large room with a single long table. Food and drinks were laid out, but no council members were present. Only more Varaxian guards lined the walls. Please, enjoy some refreshments while you wait, the lead guard said, taking position by the door. The council representatives will join you shortly. Daniel surveyed the room, noting the lack of other exits and the positions of the guards. This was clearly a trap. He pretended to consider the food, then whispered to his team, "Don't eat or drink anything." Lisa picked up a decorative piece from the table, examining it as cover while she whispered, "Do you think Krillex warned us about this?" Before Daniel could answer, the main door opened and Drezkor entered, flanked by 2 more guards. His scales shimmered with dark satisfaction. "Ambassador Carter," he said, "I trust the accommodations are satisfactory." "Where are the other council members?" Daniel asked directly. Drezkor made a dismissive gesture. "They send their regrets. Internal matters required their attention after your performance today." He approached the table and poured himself a drink. "You've created quite a problem. Human. Your accusations have disturbed the harmony of the conclave." "Truth often does that," Daniel replied. Drezkor's scales flashed in anger. "Truth. You know nothing of truth. Your species is barely out of its cradle, yet you presume to understand galactic politics." He circled the table, coming to stand directly across from Lisa. Without warning, he flipped the table, sending food and drinks flying. Lisa wasn't fast enough to dodge completely. A heavy serving dish struck her head, and she collapsed. "Lisa!" John rushed to her side as Samantha moved protectively in front of them both. Daniel maintained eye contact with Drezkor, refusing to show fear. "Is this how the mighty conclave treats diplomatic guests?" "You are not guests," Drezkor spat. "You are a problem to be managed. Your accusations today forced our timeline forward, but the outcome was always the same." He produced a document from his robe. "The conclave has reached a decision regarding Earth. You will be classified as a protected species under the direct supervision of the Varaxian Empire." "That's subjugation," Daniel said. "That is mercy," Drezkor countered. "The alternative would be unfortunate for your homeworld." Daniel glanced at Lisa, who was conscious but bleeding from a cut on her forehead. John was trying to stop the bleeding with a cloth napkin. "You have 24 Earth hours to accept these terms," Drezkor continued. "Until then, you will remain in your quarters under guard. For your own protection, of course." He turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and your communication privileges have been revoked. We wouldn't want Earth to receive any misleading information. After Dress Corps and most of the guards left, the remaining Voraxians escorted them back to their quarters. Once inside, the door locked with a heavy clank. "They've sealed us in," John said, helping Lisa to a chair. "And communications are definitely cut. I can't reach Earth." Samantha examined the door. "Standard lock. I might be able to bypass it." Daniel's mind raced. "We have 24 hours to figure a way out of this, and we need to warn Earth." Lisa pressed the cloth to her bleeding head. "What do we do?" Daniel's expression hardened. "We do what humans have always done when backed into a corner. We fight back." 18 hours had passed since they were locked in their quarters. Lisa sat with a bandage around her head, working with John at the communication console. Samantha had dismantled parts of the room's fixtures, creating makeshift tools and weapons. "Any progress?" Daniel asked, looking over Lisa's shoulder. "Some," she said, her voice tired but determined. "I can't reach Earth, but I might be able to tap into the station's internal communication system." "Good enough," Daniel nodded. "If we can access the main council chamber speakers, we might have a chance." A soft tapping sound came from the air vent near the ceiling. Samantha immediately raised one of her improvised weapons, but Daniel held up his hand. The vent cover slid open, and Krillax's face appeared. "Ambassador Carter, I don't have much time." "Krillax," Daniel whispered, "what's happening out there?" "The council is in emergency session. The Voraxians are pushing for immediate action against Earth, claiming your team attempted to assault Dress Corps." "That's a lie," John said angrily. "Many suspect as much," Krillax replied. "The Tellurians and the Mist Collective are opposing immediate action, but they are outnumbered." He dropped a small device through the vent. "This will help you bypass the door lock and communication blocks. My shuttle is docked in Bay 12. The access code is on the device." "You're helping us escape?" Daniel asked. "Why risk yourself?" Krillax's four arms made a complex gesture. "The Conclave was meant to unite species in peace, not dominate them. What they're doing to humans now, they may do to my people next." He paused. "And I believe humans would make better allies than enemies." After giving them more details about station security, Krillax disappeared back into the ventilation system. Daniel gathered his team. "Lisa, how soon can you get into the station's communication system?" "With Krillax's device." "Less than an hour." "Good. Here's the plan." An hour later, the Conclave Council was assembled in the Grand Chamber. Representatives from all 7 species sat in their designated positions, with Dress Corps speaking from the central platform. "The evidence is clear," the Voraxian was saying. "Humans are too volatile to be allowed free development. The protection status will be for their own good." Suddenly, the lights in the chamber flickered. The large screens around the room, normally showing data and translations, all went dark at once. "What is happening?" demanded the Quartzian chairperson. The screens came back to life, but instead of data, they showed Daniel Carter's face. "Greetings, Honored Council," Daniel said, his voice coming through every speaker in the chamber. "I apologize for interrupting, but since you're discussing the fate of my species, I thought we should have a voice." Dress Corps hissed in fury. "Cut the transmission." "They can't," Daniel said calmly. "At least, not quickly. One of humanity's many traits is our skill with improvisation." His image zoomed out to show all 4 humans standing together. Lisa's bandaged head was clearly visible. "You see before you the results of Voraxian diplomacy," Daniel continued. "While we came in peace, the Voraxians have been attacking our colonies and now demand our submission." Murmurs spread through the council chamber. "The Conclave was founded on principles of mutual respect and cooperation," Daniel said. "Yet you would classify an entire species as inferior based on our youth among the stars." He leaned closer to the camera. "You fear us not for what we are, but for what we might become. You believe that containing us now is safer than meeting us as equals later." Daniel's eyes were steady and determined. Let me be clear about what humanity wants. We don't want conflict. We want to learn, to grow, to trade, and to contribute to galactic society. But there is one thing we will never accept: subjugation. His voice grew stronger. If you force this choice upon us, know this: humanity has faced extinction many times in our history. Each time, we have emerged stronger. We have fought ourselves, our planet, and our own limitations, and we have always survived. Daniel paused, looking directly into the camera. So I say this to the Conclave, and especially to the Varaxian Empire. You can offer us friendship, or you can offer us conflict. If you want peace, we will bring innovation, determination, and loyalty. But if you want conflict— His expression hardened as he delivered the words that would echo across the galaxy. You want conflict? We'll bring it. In the silence that followed, alarms began to blare throughout Harmony Station. Alarms blared as Daniel and his team raced through the corridors of Harmony Station. Samantha led the way, using Krillax's device to override door locks and avoid security patrols. Bay 12 should be just ahead, John said, supporting Lisa, who was still weak from her injury, but moving with determination. They rounded a corner and found their path blocked by 3 Varaxian guards. Before the aliens could raise their weapons, Samantha hurled one of her makeshift devices. It burst with a blinding flash, disorienting the guards long enough for the humans to rush past. That was the last one, Samantha warned as they continued running. Won't need any more if we reach that shuttle, Daniel replied. They burst into docking Bay 12 and found Krillax waiting beside his personal shuttle. The Tellurian quickly ushered them inside. The other council members are in chaos after your broadcast, Krillax said as he started the launch sequence. Several representatives are openly questioning the Varaxian actions now. The shuttle bay doors began to close. They're trying to lock us in, Lisa said. Krillax's 4 hands moved rapidly over the controls. Not fast enough. The shuttle shot forward, barely squeezing through the narrowing gap. Behind them, Harmony Station shrank against the backdrop of stars. We need to warn Earth, Daniel said. How long until we're in range for clear communication? 4 hours, Krillax replied. But the Varaxians will be in pursuit soon. John looked troubled. What about you, Krillax? Your people will know you helped us. Yes, the alien said simply. But some choices are worth the cost. The journey was tense, with Krillax using all his piloting skills to avoid detection. When they finally established contact with Earth, Commander Grace Hoffman's face appeared on the screen. Daniel, thank God, she said. We lost contact with you 30 hours ago. Grace, the situation has escalated, Daniel explained quickly. The Varaxians have been attacking our colonies and tried to force Earth to accept protected status. We refused and escaped, but they'll be coming. Grace nodded grimly. We've been preparing. Those technologies I mentioned, we call it the SHIELD protocol. It's ready. The screen split to show images of Earth and its colonies. New defensive platforms orbited each world, their design unlike anything humans had built before. We reverse-engineered technology from the debris of those pirate attacks, Grace explained. Our scientists have been working day and night. Lisa leaned forward. How effective will they be against Varaxian ships? Effective enough to surprise them, Grace said. But there's more. The screen changed to show a shipyard in Earth orbit where sleek vessels were under construction. Our first true combat fleet, Grace said with pride. Faster and more maneuverable than anything we've built before. We've named the flagship the Defiant. Daniel felt a mixture of pride and concern. How long until they're operational? The first squadron is ready now. The rest will be completed within the month. A new alarm sounded on Krillax's shuttle. Varaxian pursuit vessels detected, he announced. 3 warships on intercept course. We'll send ships to meet you, Grace began, but Daniel cut her off. No, keep them defending Earth. We'll manage. He turned to Krulax. Can we outrun them? Not all the way to Earth, the Tellurian admitted. But I might have another option. The screen changed to show a nearby system. My homeworld. The Tellurian High Council has been watching the Conclave's treatment of humans with concern. If we can reach them, they might offer asylum. Daniel looked at his team, then back to Grace on the screen. The Varaxians want to isolate Earth, make us fight alone. Maybe it's time to show them that humans know how to make friends too. Grace nodded. Go. I'll have Ambassador Frank Allen begin formal diplomatic contact with the Tellurians from our side. As the communication ended, Krulax set a new course. The shuttle surged forward, the Varaxian warships falling slightly behind. Will your people really stand with Earth against the Conclave? Lissa asked Krulax. The Tellurians have long questioned Varaxian dominance, Krulax replied. Your defiance may be the catalyst for change that many species have been waiting for. Daniel looked out at the stars rushing past. We came seeking membership in their alliance. Instead, we may end up building our own. Behind them, the Varaxian ships continued their pursuit, but ahead lay something potentially more powerful than any weapon. The first true human-alien alliance. 3 weeks after Daniel's declaration, a massive Varaxian fleet approached Earth. 50 warships emerged from faster-than-light travel near Jupiter, their weapons systems powering up immediately. In Earth's Defense Command Center, Commander Grace Hoffman stood calmly as officers rushed around her. Screens showed the approaching enemy fleet and Earth's defenses. They brought more ships than we expected, said her second-in-command. But exactly where we expected them, Grace replied. Status of SHIELD protocol. All platforms online and ready. Grace nodded and opened a channel to the waiting human fleet. 27 ships formed a defensive line between Earth and the Varaxian force. The largest ship, the Defiant, held the center position. All ships maintain formation and hold fire until my command, Grace ordered. Let them make the first move. On the Defiance's bridge, Captain Alan Morris acknowledged the order. His crew was nervous but determined. Many had family on the colonies that had been attacked. Enemy fleet is hailing us, reported his communications officer. The main screen activated to show Drescor's face. The Varaxian looked surprised to see a human fleet waiting for them. Primitive vessels, Drescor sneered. Your pathetic attempt at resistance is noted. The Conclave has declared Earth a protected world. Power down your ships and prepare to receive our guidance. Captain Morris straightened in his chair. This is Captain Alan Morris of the Earth Defense Fleet. Earth rejects your so-called protection. We stand as equals or we stand against you. The choice is yours. Drescor's scales darkened with anger. Then you choose extinction. The communication cut off. They're charging weapons, reported the tactical officer. All ships, defensive formation, Captain Morris ordered. Prepare countermeasures. The Varaxian ships fired first, energy beams streaking across space toward the human fleet. But before they could hit, the SHIELD protocol activated. Dozens of orbital platforms around Jupiter generated a shimmering energy field that caught the Varaxian weapons fire and dispersed it harmlessly. Drescor's flagship fired again, targeting the platforms, but Earth's ships moved to intercept. The human vessels were smaller and less powerful, but surprisingly fast and maneuverable. Now we show them what humans can do, Captain Morris said. Execute attack pattern Alpha. Instead of meeting the Varaxian fleet head-on, the human ships split into smaller groups. They darted between the larger enemy vessels, firing precision shots at engines and weapon systems. On Earth, Grace watched the battle unfold with intense focus. Activate Phase 2, she ordered. Hidden platforms around Jupiter's moons powered up, launching hundreds of small, unmanned drones. The drones swarmed toward the Varaxian fleet, too small and numerous to target effectively. What are these devices? Drescor demanded as the drones attached themselves to his ship's hulls. The answer came when the drones activated, sending electrical pulses through the Varaxian shields. Ship after ship reported systems failures as the drones disrupted their power networks. "Target their flagship," Grace commanded. "Show them we can strike at their heart." The Defiant and 3 other human ships converged on Drescor's vessel. Their combined fire overwhelmed its weakened shields, disabling its main weapons array. Across the battlefield, nearly half the Varaxian fleet was now drifting with systems failures. The rest were surrounded by the more nimble human ships. A new signal came through on all channels. On screen appeared Daniel Carter, standing beside the Tellurian High Council. "Attention Varaxian fleet," Daniel said. "This is Ambassador Carter. As you can see, humans are not the easy prey you expected. But we offer you a choice now: retreat or face the combined forces of Earth and the Tellurian Republic." Behind Daniel's transmission, sensors detected a new fleet entering the system. 20 Tellurian warships, their advanced technology evident even at a distance. Drescor's ship, weapons disabled but communications still functioning, went silent for several minutes. Then a reply came through. "This is not over," Drescor said, his voice cold with hatred. "The Conclave will not stand for this alliance." "The Conclave will need to adapt," Daniel replied, "just as humans have always done." One by one, the Varaxian ships that could still maneuver began to withdraw. As they retreated, cheers erupted across the human fleet and in command centers on Earth. Captain Morris watched them go, then opened a channel to Earth. "Commander Hoffman, the enemy is retreating. Earth is safe." Grace allowed herself a small smile. "For now, Captain." This was just the first test. 6 months after the battle near Jupiter, Daniel Carter stood in a newly constructed chamber on neutral territory, an asteroid that had been hollowed out and transformed into a meeting place. The circular room featured a round table with equal seats for all representatives. Daniel adjusted his formal uniform and looked at his team, now expanded beyond the original 4. Lisa Miller had fully recovered from her injury and now headed Earth's Interspecies Communications Division. John Hayes had established a cultural exchange program that was already hosting visitors from 3 alien species. Samantha Wright had been promoted to lead Earth's new Joint Security Force, training both humans and aliens in combined tactics. "Nervous?" Lisa asked Daniel. "A little," he admitted. "I never expected to be here 6 months ago." "None of us did," John said with a smile. "We went looking for membership in their club and ended up starting our own." The doors opened and representatives began to enter the chamber. Krillax came first, now the official ambassador of the Tellurian Republic. Following him were delegates from 3 smaller species that had previously been sidelined by the Conclave: the insect-like Entari, the crystalline Lumidians, and the gas-based Nebulans. More surprising were the representatives that came next. The Mist Collective and the Deeps had broken from the Conclave to join the new alliance. Only the Varaxians, Quartzians, and Obsidians had remained loyal to the old order. The final delegate to enter was unexpected. The Hive Minds, who had remained neutral in the conflict, sent a representative as an observer. As head of interspecies relations for Earth, Daniel opened the first official meeting of what was being called the Stellar Cooperative. "Friends and allies," he began. 6 months ago, humanity stood alone against those who would deny us our rightful place among the stars. Today, we sit as equals with many who share our vision of true cooperation and mutual respect. Krillax spoke next. "The Tellurian people are proud to stand with humans. Their defiance inspired many who had long suffered under Varaxian influence. This cooperative represents a new balance of power in our galaxy." One by one, the other representatives spoke of their hopes for the new alliance. Many had been treated as second-class members of the Conclave, their resources exploited while their needs were ignored. As the meeting progressed, a message arrived from Earth. Commander Grace Hoffman, now head of the Unified Defense Force, reported that long-range sensors had detected Conclave ships approaching several border systems. "They're testing our resolve," Samantha said. Daniel nodded. "And our unity." He addressed the gathered representatives. The Conclave believes our alliance will fracture under pressure. We must prove them wrong. The Mist Collective representatives swirled in agreement. My people will defend the Lumidian colonies. Our ships are fast and can reach them first. And the Tellurian fleet will support Earth's outer settlements, Krillax added. One by one, the members pledged to defend each other, creating a network of mutual protection that was stronger than any could provide alone. As the meeting concluded, the hive mind observer approached Daniel. We have watched these developments with interest. The Conclave told us humans were dangerous because you adapt too quickly. The aliens' compound eyes glittered. They were right about your adaptability, but wrong about the danger. We believe your species' ability to change may be exactly what our galaxy needs. Daniel smiled. Does that mean the hive minds are considering joining the cooperative? We are, the observer confirmed. And we are not the only ones reconsidering our position. Later, as Daniel looked out at the stars from the observation deck, Lisa joined him. Did you ever imagine this outcome when we first arrived at Harmony Station? She asked. Daniel shook his head. I was just trying to get Earth into the Conclave. I never planned to help create an alternative. Sometimes the best path forward isn't the one we plan to take, Lisa said. As if to emphasize her point, a new ship docked at the station. It carried representatives from a dozen species that had never been part of the Conclave, smaller civilizations that had been deemed too primitive or unimportant for consideration. Daniel went to greet them, remembering how it felt to be the outsider seeking recognition. As the airlock opened, he smiled warmly at the nervous delegates. Welcome, he said. We've been looking forward to meeting you as equals. Let's talk about our future among the stars.